Hi there. Today we're going to talk about some streetwear trends we've seen in the year 2021. Now I wanted to do this video because we're heading into fall, which is my favorite season for fashion, and I wanted to take a look back on this year and see what were some of the most popular fashion trends we've seen. Now just quickly defining a fashion trend: a style, an aesthetic, a product that becomes generally accepted and widely replicated. And that's within fashion. So it can be a lot of different things: a style, an aesthetic, a product, a design, something like that. Trends come and go a lot as well. Things fall in and out of trends. So some of the things I might be mentioning you've seen before. I made a video about streetwear trends of 2021, and a lot of those are on this list, but I just want to go through some of the biggest trends of this year and kind of talk over them. Before I start, I want everybody to know I don't think poorly of any trend. I don't want to make anyone feel bad for trying out a trend. I think the best part of a trend is that you can try it out and see if it works for you. And it actually helps you build your own personal style. Trends change, but you can pick up pieces from trends and figure out how these things are going to work for your own style. So don't get mad if I mention a trend here. There's nothing wrong with it being a trend. In fact, everything on this list I have is going to be something I've tried out, at least once. So I would highly recommend trying out a trend. If you do, try to shop secondhand or something like that. If it doesn't work out, you're not furthering the effects of fast fashion. So the first trend we're going to talk about, and probably one of the biggest trends all year, is workwear. So we're talking about Carhartt double knees, any Carhartt, maybe even throw Dickies in there. Workwear is something that really was replicated so widely. You've ever looked at, an outfit page or some trending outfits, you could almost always see a pair of Carhartt double knees. Another piece that became really widely worn was I think it's the duck jacket. The reason workwear became so popular is it's very, very wearable, everyday clothing. I live in the Midwest, I live in Chicago. People here have been wearing Carhartt since it was made. It lasts really well throughout the elements, and it has a nice aesthetic as well. So Carhartt and things like that are not new, they're just newer to fashion. Also, they come in a lot of easy to wear colors like browns and neutral tones. I could see why they became an instant hit in different fashion circles and within streetwear itself. The next one I wanted to talk about is Dickies and cargo pants. The reason I separate Dickies and cargo pants from, that general just workwear category is I think that fashion circles have been up on these even before, recently. I know within skate style, kids have been wearing Dickies and cargo pants forever. On the West Coast, I know Dickies were really big out there, wearing big baggy Dickies, full Dickies outfits. So this stuff's not that new, but I know recently, relatively new in fashion, but I still think these are a great cop. I own these. I own Carhartt double knees. I own cargo pants. In 2021, people have just been looking for more interesting pants. People were sick of the skinnies. They're sick of just your regular degular, so they want to try something new. That's what all of these pants were. They gave a really nice vibe, and they're all made of, durable quality materials. Next up, we've got the Nike Dunks. I know all of you have seen Nike Dunks around. These were the number one selling hype shoe. Nike Dunks will always sell out on sneakers. There are always people interested in them. They've just got great color blocking, and they're super easy to wear. They have the classic swoosh. They're not doing too much. It's almost like a little style hack. And I know a lot of kids who've been getting into sneakers recently have been going for the Dunks. I totally get it. I bought 2 pairs of Dunks this year. I sold 1 pair and then I kept another. I don't mind the trend of Dunks. I do think it will die down though, because how much Nike is really oversaturating and overproducing dunk models and in different dunk colorways. I think people might get bored. I know there are a lot of people who won't get bored and will keep buying Dunks, but this kind of happens. Nike picks a shoe, they start to run it into the dirt a little bit, and then people kind of lose interest. I have lost my interest a little bit, but I still think it's a dope shoe. Next up, for Jordan brand, I think the Jordan 1 and Jordan 4 have been the biggest trend of 2021. And Jordan brand did this on purpose. My kind of theory is that Jordan brand took some of their smash hits from the Off-White collection, like the Jordan 1 Off-White Chicago and Jordan 4 Off-White. They took the hype from that and started producing a lot of general release colorways, both in the Jordan 1 and Jordan 4. And I think it's gotten to the point where people are a little bit sick of both of those shoes. Obviously, there's classic colorways in both of these that will always sell out, but there were a lot of questionable colorways in there that it kind of feels like Nike is just you know, using those two as a cash grab, which I get kind of annoyed by because, you know, I love Jordan 4s, I love 1s, I own both of those shoes. It makes them a little bit less special in my point of view, but I know a lot of, you know, younger kids out there are just getting into sneakers, and these shoes are classics. I mean, the colorways might be a little bit iffy, but no one would tell you any different. Those are going to be a staple in any streetwear fit and a fashionable item for years to come. Outside of Nike, I think the New Balance 550 and the Adidas Forum were some competitors to the Nike Dunk. All of the big sneaker brands all came up with their own re-release from the 80s. The Nike Dunk is from the 80s, the Adidas Forum is from 84, the New Balance 550 I think is from 89. So these are all shoes that were archived in the 80s and brought back in the past year, and they're all a smash hit. It kind of goes with that vintage aesthetic a lot of people are looking for. It's a casual shoe. I think New Balance and Adidas are going to continue, you know, competing with Nike with some of these models. I'm not quite tired of the New Balance 550 or the Adidas Forum quite yet, but I know these brands are going to really try to capitalize on their success and continue producing these models. One thing that goes for both of these models is that some of the brand's biggest collabs were for these shoes. You know, like Nike with the Off-White, New Balance did a 550 with Aimé Leon Dore, and that was a huge success. And then on the other end, Adidas did a collab with Bad Bunny on the Forum, and that became a huge success. So I think there is kind of a method to these sneaker brands where they choose a shoe that has a really solid collaboration. They get an artist or a athlete to work with them on that sneaker, and then boom, that becomes their most produced sneaker. That's like their new hype sneaker that they want to push to the, you know, fashion influencers and things like that. I like all of those shoes though. The only one I haven't owned yet is the Adidas Forum. I have New Balance 550s. One of my favorite shoes from this year for sure. Next up, we've got tote bags. I didn't take part in this one as much. I'm kind of just a backpack guy, but I thought tote bags was a cool trend because it's a trend within an accessory. It's also kind of taking men out of a specific gender norm of, you know, wearing a side bag. I don't think that's something that we saw a lot in the past. I've been seeing a lot of really cool tote bags, not just ones that go over the side. There's these cool knot bags. I actually sewed one and gave it to my girlfriend, but there's these knot bags that kind of go over the shoulder and you can tie them. I don't know, it just kind of made me rethink, you know, how I carry my things and what an accessory can do for an outfit. I think tote bags were a pretty cool trend of 2021. I don't know how much they're going to go into the years to come, but I think tote bags were the biggest, you know, accessory trend within 2021. Another big accessory trend of 2021 was fitted hats. And I don't mean fitted hats like the one I'm wearing now. This is a Fear of God fitted. I mean more so fitted hats that were very colorful. They had a colorized undervisor, patches all over the place, embroidery. This type of fitted hat is definitely a trendy item of 2021. There's always going to be people who are into hats. You know, it went from snapbacks to, you know, dad hats to, you know, Supreme camper hats to fitteds to now everyone's getting a colorized UV. Like, it goes through stages. I think this fitted trend is dope. I have copped a few fitteds that are really colorful and patchy. My one issue with them is that it is really hard to match sometimes because they're so colorful. It's hard to get a full fit off because the colors on the hat will almost always throw off the rest of the outfit. But there's a huge community around fitted hats. I don't think that trend's going anywhere. I'm just really curious to see where it goes. Oh, and the pins too. People putting pins in their hats too. That's not that new, but I know the community has grown a lot. So I think it's a cool trend. I don't know if it's going anywhere. Next up, we've got loafers. I've talked about loafers in a bunch of videos. I've done a review on my Dr. Martens Adrian loafers. Loafers were a huge trend of 2021. Obviously, the loafer is a timeless piece. This is something that our parents were wearing, but it did make a pretty big resurgence, and I think in part it's due to, you know, some people getting older and looking for alternatives outside of sneakers, as well as some people just being, you know, sick of the aesthetic of sneakers. Like, you know, the hype around the sneakers may be a bit off-putting, and also it is really hard to get them. So I saw loafers as a good alternative. They also offer a lot of like breathing room for an outfit. With a colorful sneaker, sometimes it's hard to just be matchy. A loafer is going to be in a, you know, it's going to be leather. It's going to be in a pretty neutral color, so the rest of the outfit can do the talking. I only have one pair of loafers right now, but I may be expanding that collection. You know, we'll see how that goes. I am a sneakerhead, but we might be diving into some more loafers. I think it's a dope trend to, you know, try out. Oh, Next up, we've got vintage. I think vintage has been a trend for the past like 3 or 4 years with the resurgence of eBay and people going on Depop and Grailed and things like that. A lot of people are getting into vintage, t-shirts from the 90s and even true vintage, which would be like Letterman jackets and things like that. So I think vintage is probably the best trend of 2021 and the best trend to keep carrying on because it's super cheap. All vintage clothing has a lot of character because it's been worn before. It's very sustainable. You're not adding to fast fashion. You're not adding to waste on the planet. You're just buying something that's already there. And I'm a big fan of that. Next up, we've got Birkenstock Bostons. I called this at the beginning of the year. I'm not going to sit here and say I was the one who set these off, but these have been going crazy. Recently, there was a Stussy collab that was all over the Instagram Explore page. And for those of you that don't know, Instagram Explore page is pretty much just like whatever the trendy fashion is, whatever the influencers are wearing. I think that this is an essential piece within the kind of cozy aesthetic. I don't think this is going anywhere. I definitely think you should try them out if you're interested in this style. They are a bit more pricey, but Birkenstock makes really quality shoes. Might not be the best for winter. You might be able to get them off a little bit in the fall, but I'm a big fan of Birkenstock Boston. I've been talking about them for about a year now. Next up is Gorpcore. That was a huge trend in 2021. That was actually what my last video was on. It's basically like a hiking aesthetic. A huge brand that came out of this was Arc'teryx. Obviously, they were a hiking staple before 2021. With the kind of start of the Gorpcore trend, Arc'teryx became like the biggest status symbol. That kind of fossilized bird logo. You can see that on a lot of different influencers, and it is really cool. Gorpcore is almost like techwear's little brother. It's not as like out there as techwear can be, but it still is. It's really cool. It's utility fashion. It looks really interesting, and it's always durable and weatherproof, which is really nice. I'm a big fan of Gorpcore. I would definitely recommend trying this out, getting into some stuff in some different materials, some weatherproof jackets, stuff like that. I think it's a good idea. I think this trend's gonna last for a while, definitely going into 2022. Next up, I've got the 5-inch inseam shorts. Side note being the Patagonia baggies. I think those were a big short of the summer, but this is essentially like the new meta of shorts right now. A while ago it was like sweat shorts. Now it's just anything with a 5-inch inseam is kind of the new trend of shorts. It shows off a lot more leg. I've talked about 5-inch inseams before, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse with this one, but if you haven't gotten into this, it's a little bit late because summer's over where I'm from. I guess if you all don't get summer out there, definitely try out a pair of 5-inch inseam shorts. Shows a lot more leg, and it's kind of been like I said, the new meta of shorts right now, and I don't think that's going anywhere. Varsity Jackets is another one I saw last year a lot, and in 2020. I do have a bit of a beef with this one because this was one that really exploded within fast fashion. I saw every brand, H&M, Zara, Shein, Boohoo Man, like all those really quick turnaround, quick trendy fashion brands, they all made a varsity jacket. So if you want to try out a varsity jacket, go secondhand, okay? This is literally like the easiest thing to get secondhand. There's so many options out there, so many cool options with a lot more character than something from H&M that might not be as nice of quality. If you're gonna try out varsity jackets, they've been around for a while. I think it's still trendy. It still looks good. It may be fading out of trend. It's still gonna work and look great for this fall and winter. Next up, we've got neutral tones. This is really a broad encompassing trend. It's just a lot more people wearing neutral tones. These are colors that just work really well with each other and don't clash very much. This is something that's been going on for a couple years, but I don't see this going anywhere. This is probably the easiest way to be fashionable in today's age is having a wardrobe that is neutral tones. You don't have to worry about clashing at all. It might be the easiest way to be fashionable nowadays. I would highly recommend investing in some neutral tones. You can layer with them very, very easily, and it just kind of makes dressing really fun. And finally, we've got the 2000s aesthetic, and that is something that is, really just bringing back the 2000s vibe. We're looking at rhinestone, we're looking at tracksuits, Ed Hardy, stuff like that. I've seen a lot of that in Gen Z, honestly, really getting into the 2000s vibes, and I think it's dope. Obviously, that's when I grew up, so I really love seeing it. Baggy pants, fitteds, you know, the skater vibe, your boy band or your girl group. It's really interesting and it's really fun. I think the 2000s aesthetic is one that I've been enjoying a lot, and I don't think it's going anywhere too soon. You know, it will be hard to continue pulling off the rhinestone sweatsuit in 2022, but we'll see where that goes. But that's pretty much it. Flame Gang, if you are returning, I love you. Thank you for subscribing. If you're new to the channel and you want to join the Flame Gang, go ahead, hit subscribe. It's free. I try to drop new videos around streetwear, fashion, sneakers, stuff like that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. It would mean a ton to me. If not, thank you for watching. It's been your boy, Baby Boy, and stay fresh out there. Peace.